So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Well, good afternoon, or good evening, good night, whatever time of the day it is, everybody, and welcome back to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been on. Didn't do anything in the build up to the Arsenal game. Didn't do anything after the Arsenal game, and we missed the team sheet tantrum for the Arsenal game. And I suppose just wanted to come on and chat to everybody about one or two little things. I suppose that we've gone through. But firstly, we missed it for good reason. I was spending time with family, and to be honest with you, it's been ages since I got to meet up with a lot of my family. So that came first over Aston Villa, I think, and over doing podcasts. So I do apologize, but at the same time, I had great crack. Paddy, how have you been keeping?
I'm good, and I missed it for exactly the same reason. I got to spend St. Patrick's Day and a few days after with my family. So good fun. Great to be out doing normal things again. And yeah, all good.
It certainly is. Yeah. And you know what? In a way, in some way, shape, or form, I came at the weekend. I suppose it was kind of nice to be able to watch it, knowing that I don't have to do an immediate reaction podcast to it, because specifically for the first half. Because we're going to start there. We're going to talk about lots of different things, lots of varied things. Having a few brews tonight. So we're going to talk about lots of very little things. But I think we better start with the Villa Arsenal game, Paddy. I've been on with Dan Bardell on Villa View, and I've kind of gotten it out of my system, although at the same time I'm a bit indifferent to the whole game, because Arsenal, I think, are a nice outfit. They're better than a nice outfit. They're a really, really good outfit. Anybody who plays off that Arsenal are, that Aston Villa are, or that Arsenal were there for the taking, or that we should have beaten them. I don't know. They're playing well at the moment. While we could have beaten them, and we did play pretty shite, to be honest with you, for parts of the game. They just have one or two players that make them tick. But Paddy, what's the crack? What did you find about that game? Tell us all about it, and please be kind to Andy Madley.
Can we let that be the last mention of his name? Well, look, first and foremost, we missed the team sheet tantrum. So
yeah,
my initial thoughts were the team was set up badly from word go.
Right.
I got to see the match live. Couldn't do a team sheet tantrum because I was with my family at the time, so in Dublin, so I just wasn't in a position to come on and do it, which thankfully, well, it's easy for me to come back now and say that I thought this at the time, but I wouldn't have dropped Callum Chambers, because there was nothing to base performance-wise on why he was dropped, and plus we went back to the 210s, which wasn't working for us in the past, and it left us very, very narrow up top, and it just left us completely toothless, especially in the first half of the game. So that for me was the beginning of the bad stuff, we'll say, and it didn't get much better. It was dull. It was stale. The whole game I thought was dull and stale. If anything, he won't be named, made the game more exciting, because he made some absolutely ridiculous decisions along the way. Starting off with the fact that the goal came from a free kick in which Saka hit the ground very, very easily. And it made me laugh. Well, it didn't at the time. It makes me laugh thinking about it now. But as the whistle blew for the second half, Saka is walking off like this, talking under his arm or his hand at Andy Medley. And we've heard afterwards from him that he was looking for more protection. What do you need protection for when you're lying on the ground? The minute contact takes place, you're lying on the ground. It's absolutely pointless. He couldn't have got any more protection than what he got. So, leaving that aside, they did score from it. Ball went through a pile of players, so a lot of things at play. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that Emi Martinez interview that was shown last week, but he talks about balls coming through a pile of players and deflection. I think that was playing on his mind. He was probably one step off being in the right place to deal with it. I'm not blaming him with it. There was plenty of other chances for someone to go and close it down, but the ball ends up in the back of the net. But ultimately comes because a linesman fails to make a decision and the referee gives an absolutely disgraceful decision of giving a free kick. And that wasn't his worst decision of the game, but we'll get on to that later. But look, before this seems like sour grapes and going all in on Arsenal, played just so carefully at the weekend. They were obviously quite tired from Thursday night. I thought they saved their energy very well. They played without getting out of second gear. Like I said recently, we won a couple of games without getting out of third gear. They didn't get out of second gear at the weekend. It was the most comfortable 1-0 win I think I've ever witnessed in my life. You always felt that.
I don't know.
You always felt that if we scored, they'd score another. That they'd just put the foot down and go for another.
You know me now, Paddy. You know me. Stick to the facts. That's an intangible.
Well, the facts are we lost 1-0 and we didn't get a shot on target until the 94th minute. So that's the facts.
Yeah.
So I thought Arsenal played reasonably well without having to exert themselves. They got the goal on whatever it was, about half an hour. Then we had the ridiculous booking of Tyrone Mings 3 minutes later.
Talk to me about that because are we living in Cloud Cuckoo land? Is the game that different from last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Like we're not talking about John Giles in the 70s here. Like we're not talking about that type of a tackle here. We're talking about a pretty legitimate tackle. It wasn't even late.
It wasn't even a tackle.
Yeah.
The only challenge involved is the challenge of Saka on Mings. He puts himself into danger. It wasn't Tyrone Mings putting him in danger. He steps in the way of a guy kicking the ball. There's no other. Like, I don't care. You go back to the days where it was off your feet and out of control. Isn't that what they used to say?
Yeah.
That went on for years. He was off his feet. Was he out of control? No, he was playing the ball. There was nobody in front of him. Saka runs across and puts himself in front of him. Tyrone Mings knows he doesn't have enough time to get there and take another touch, but he still had 5 yards on Saka, who continues his run into the path of Tyrone Mings from the side. There's absolutely nothing in it. It's not even a foul. If it's a foul, it's a foul on Tyrone Mings for a late challenge by Saka, in my opinion. It's absolutely ridiculous. And for a man like that to walk off the pitch, covering his mouth, telling the referee he needs to be protected more, I'll tell you what he needs. He needs to go kick up the hole. Because if he's on, well, do you know what? That's the way the game has gone. The game has gone that you're rewarded for cheating. And, we saw Saka do it a couple of times. We saw Smith Rowe do it. We saw Odegaard do an absolutely ridiculous dive in his own half over by the sideline. And the linesman couldn't wait to get his flag up. And he had the best view of everybody in the stadium. And he gave it. So if that's the way the game is going, we've got to get a bit cuter, as Gary Neville would call it, and start doing it ourselves.
But we and you know what, I will say it about Aston Villa that we got pilloried when we had Jack Grealish on our team. Like people couldn't wait to say he went down too easy. People couldn't wait to say that he, you look at games, Jack Grealish was fouled an awful lot of the time. They weren't like that. They weren't like that Odegaard one that you mentioned. They were fouled, and he was fouled an awful lot of the time. That's mad the way the narrative just shifts depending on who's being fouled. It really is. It's mad that somebody gets fouled so much during the course of a Premier League season. They go, he goes down too easily. No, he doesn't. He's literally getting the shit kicked out of him out in the field, and he gets up and he plays on. And you've got the other people coming off saying that they need to be protected. Look, it's fine. Saka is a fine player. He's a good player. He's 20 years of age. He's got a lot ahead of him. Villa didn't kick him up in the air. If anything, Villa didn't kick him half enough in that game because Ashley Young was out there, and Ashley Young was really, really, really nice to him.
Sure, he had the freedom of Aston out there. That's another situation we haven't spoken about, which you would have talked about in the team sheet tantrum. It's there's loads of ways you can look at it, and I had a philosophy that we never got to do a preview of that game, but my philosophy was bring Konza back in, but bring him in as a third centre half. But then the whole world would have lost its shit. And
Paddy, we've been there already this year. I remember being down back
I
in
know,
Michael Boy's
but
pub, or was it John B. Keen's in Listowel, County Kerry, doing a podcast with a lot of drinking me, going, "Oh my God, the back is going to cause mayhem."
Yeah, but it's horses for courses, with what we have, he's already managing his setup based on who we're playing against. As a result, we went back to 2 10s instead of 2 9s. So why not try that something different just to counteract the fact that you're playing one of the most, allegedly exciting players, young players in the Premier League. So that was just an idea I had of how you counteract it, because Ashley Young was just at a complete loss. He left them 10 yards every time the ball went to him, and then couldn't recover. And when he did recover, it was usually too late, and he was already in the box.
Look, people know my feelings on 36-year-old, soon to be 37-year-old Ashley Young. It's not that I dislike the player; it's I dislike the situation Aston Villa are in at this moment, having 36, soon to be 37-year-old Ashley Young playing at left back. Now, he won't be playing at left back, I would imagine, after the international break, because Digne is back. But it's not a slight on him, it's not a criticism on him, but the facts are the facts, Paddy, that he played the most games he ever played at left back in a season was 22 for Manchester United. I think it was 2014-15 season. Before that, he played 1 or 2 games sparingly. And their games started, should I say, not games he's played. So it's not even a criticism of it. It's just, you have to look at something that when a man is 31, when he first starts playing a position in defense, if you were to go back when we had him, he was 21, 22, 23, and say, would you like Ashley Young to be tracking back to try and defend against somebody? Everybody would have said absolutely no way. Keep him up there as central attacking midfielder, or left midfielder, and that's fine. Time changes people. People can move back. I'm right in saying that Alan Smith moved back from striker to play for Manchester United as a defensive midfielder. I think Rooney did it as well later on in these years. I'm not saying it's impossible, but what I'm saying is that when you've got Luca Dean, who's 8 years, I think it's 8 years and 9 days younger than him, than Ashley Young, and he's out of the team, and you bring in Ashley Young, we can't expect miracles from Ashley Young in that instance. No, we go. The reason I wanted to put that in there is because I've been consistent with this since Ashley Young signed. Been consistent with my view on him playing left back. I've an even poorer view of him playing right back. That's okay. I'm allowed to have that. I'm not going all in him. People are going to have different views. That's absolutely fine. I hope I'm proven wrong. I think he wasn't that bad after the goal in the game. And I know it's well and good being not bad after the goal, but I think he wasn't bad after the goal. He blocked a couple of shots on the edge of the area. He got in and threw his body at them and blocked them. And I thought one or two times he did get forward. He laid in 1 or 2 good passes. If I remember rightly, he chipped one into the back post, and Ollie Watkins. Sorry, Ollie Watkins was at the back post, and Gabriel got in there in front of him. It was just a couple of those balls I thought were actually nice into the box that he played, because they were a bit further back. But we're gonna have Luca Dean back, I think, for the next game. I'm not castigating the guy. I'm just my expectations for him are nowhere near what everybody else's expectations are. That's cool too,
And you know what? When he came back in, we were happy enough to see him back in. I honestly didn't expect him to play as many times as he did. And let's be honest, he's played the last 3. What's he in Italy? 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. As a wing back, I think, as well.
As a wing back in a ball playing league, it's not a rough and tumble running at you down the wing kind of league that the Premier League is. It's completely different football.
And in fairness, Inter were winning it. Not Inter were winning it. Juventus were winning it at a canter there. But no, Inter did win it last season.
Yeah.
But look, there's lots of things with Ashley Young. He's got some really, really good qualities. But I think left back I'm just always going to be looking at him through my hands like this. That's me. It's not anything to do with player. And you guys can feel what way you want about him. But for me, himself and Digne are poles apart with regards to the caliber and the quality of player that they are. And that's okay. And we've got somebody we're going to be talking about later on as well, a familiar face that we're going to be talking about later on that something came across. I came across today. But with regards to the Arsenal game, Paddy, I thought we did get into it later on in the game. Yeah, I know it was kind of like after the Lord Mayor's show and stuff like that. And the 210s, I agree with you. I don't think they worked. I'm not quite like the 210s are nearly becoming our Ken Watkins play with Ings situation now. Can we actually play with 210s? I don't know. Can we? I genuinely don't know if we can. But Ings had a niggle, and he came off the bench in the end. But we looked to play an awful lot better when we went longer with the ball. Excuse me, later on in the game.
Yeah.
I know people aren't going, like a lot of people will watch games and they go, "Oh, we'd go long ball." That shows a lack of ideas. But if we come out of the game with a draw, ifs and buts, can you nuts? I know, absolutely. But if we come out of the game with a draw, does that not show us that maybe we can mix it up or we can change it up based on a team like that? Because we could have been trying to pass the ball through Thomas Partey all day long and we would have looked like mugs.
Look, we scored goals from long ball situations this season since Gerrard has come in. So that's nothing new. When the chips are down, it hasn't always come off, but we have scored a couple of goals. I remember Mings hit a very long one into Watkins, didn't he? Took a touch, and was that Brighton? Was it Brighton? Could be wrong. I think it was Brighton. Anyway, for me, the biggest issue I had was when the ball went wide, we had nothing. We had our two fullbacks. I think I saw, was it not Neil Warnock. It's the other Warnock's name that played for us. Stephen Warnock did something on Monday on the TV, and he was just highlighting the fact that Matty Cash was getting into positions to give balls in behind that their fullback. But it was pointless. There was nobody there, so he's turning back inside and he's turning back into trouble and eventually losing the ball. And that's not Matty Cash's fault. That's the system's fault. The system didn't bring players wide enough to come onto that. So,
that's a super point, Paddy. Actually, just before you move off on that, the system doesn't allow us to do that at the minute. And the reason I say at the minute is because, specifically when we play Buendia and Coutinho, they aren't the ones that break into the box. When they do, it's fantastic. Like that Coutinho at the back post lays the ball back to Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz scores the goal against Southampton, I think it was. Like, that's joyful. That's brilliant when somebody's making a run past the centre half. This is not to say that either of those two players are bad players. But what was happening at the game, and when we play 2 10s and a 9, it's up to Ollie Watkins to make that run. So Ollie Watkins would have been the man that was making the run that Matty Cash was playing the ball into, like down the side of the defender. And then who's he crossing it into? Like, are we really going to cross it into 5'8" Buendia, 5'8" Philippe Coutinho?
No.
Like you see, so the system is good. The players we have, the system is okay. The players we have are good. I just don't think that we're as experienced, or I'm going to probably even call it cultured. That's not the word I'm looking for. We're just not as experienced in that system.
I think plain and simple, Neil, we're short players to do it.
We're short players.
Not short players.
We're
short quality. Players. We're short quality to do it as well.
Small players, Paddy.
There's nothing wrong. The two short players you mentioned, I've no problem with. But even Ollie Watkins is not going to win those headers in the air either.
And yes, so when you say we're short players, we're missing that physical beast. Not even a beast. We're missing, like, see that guy that Spurs signed, Kulizev, the guy with the K that starts with the K that plays in the wing. Like, he's a winger and he's 6'2".
Yeah,
that he looks out of place out there because he looks physically not like a winger. He's bloody brilliant. Was brilliant at Spurs, was brilliant at Parma, was brilliant at Juventus. He's Sweden's next white hope. I'm not saying that every player is going to be like that, but could you imagine if he was steaming in off the wing at the back post? as opposed to Emi Buendia. Now, don't get me
That's
wrong,
it.
Buendia
You've
scored a
seen
header
West
against
Ham do it
Everton.
with the likes of Yarmolenko. Not this time, but
Yeah.
you've seen him coming in off that wing. He's a big brute of a man as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
we're
just
sure.
a comment on like.
And look, I'm absolutely fine with 2 short 10s, but if should it be 2 short 10s, maybe not. I don't believe that's ever going to work. I think that's Steven Gerrard's preferred way to play with the 2 10s. But if we're going to play with 2 10s, we need a bigger striker. So where does he come from? I have absolutely no idea. But we've strikers there capable of doing the job that we need done. And for me, that is Buendia sitting in the 10 role with the 2 strikers pulling left or right, both ways, whenever required. And we just didn't have that outlet on Saturday. And that's what ultimately outdone us in the final third.
Well, do you know who won't be, Paddy, is it won't be Jermaine Defoe because he retired. So
Thank God.
So we can never hear on transfer deadline day that he's holed up in the Belfry, in some hotel room in the Belfry again. But yeah, Jermaine Defoe, 39 years of age, and he retired. Just one last thing on the Arsenal game, Paddy. Like we talk about measuring sticks, and we talk about this. Like against West Ham, it was gas. We were coming off a 3-game winning streak. And everyone was saying, "Oh, we go out against West Ham. No, we win against West Ham. We really announce ourselves towards the big boys." Mm. Nobody said that if we go out and win against Arsenal, we announce ourselves. So what I'm getting back at here is I felt kind of indifferent enough after the game when we had lost. I knew the performance was poor. You could I knew the performance was poor, but we still could have came away with a draw. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that Arsenal have a soft underbelly. They play some great football. Emile Smith-Rowe is a gem of a player. He's just brilliant. Like signs on that we were in for him for 50 million at the during the summer, and like he's just really, 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 really good. And they're talking about Saka, sorry, and he had a great game. Emile Smith-Rowe just pulls all of the strings inside there. He's fantastic, and to have him there, diminutive player, which is fine. They have Lacazette up top. They had Odegaard, who's not diminutive, but Thomas Partey to be able to pile through from midfield and know that Granit Xhaka is back there to mind the house. That's huge, and that's what Aston Villa are missing. Just the difference, the diversity in physical specimens, I think, inside there will really open up one or two things within the team. But we'll have more measuring sticks. I never thought that any of those games, the game against West Ham or the game against Arsenal, would be a measuring stick as to where we are. Realistically speaking, when we change manager,
all it literally does is tells us how far away we are from the top 6. You know, it's not a rocket science thing. We have. I don't think we other than Man United, we haven't beaten anyone else in the top 6 this season, have we? And we all know they're only up there because they've been getting all those decisions earlier on in the season to keep them in check. But look, I want to move on from the Arsenal game because it absolutely bugged the shit out of me for a number of reasons.
The one thing I just want to say beforehand is the reason I brought up the West Ham game is West Ham are playing that system with David Moyes for the last 2-3 seasons. Arteta has finally got his system working in Arsenal. Now they're reaping the rewards. We changed manager in October, so when you change manager, that's what I'm saying is that a lot of people are saying clean house, and yes, we may see 4 or 5 players leave this summer, and we're going to talk about at least one of them when it comes up. See a couple of comments there as well, guys, about McGinn. Maybe McGinn shouldn't be our that's fine. You guys could be right. We're not going to discuss that. And there will be a clean out. I think there will be an extra strike. I think we'll sign at least one player in every single line in the summer, if not 2 players in midfield. But the thing the point I was making was that Arteta was panned for being he came in Guardiola light, and then people were kind of ridiculing him. Can he really get Arsenal over the hump? He looks like he's going to do it this season. He's going to get him back into Europe. You had David Moyes, shit season with Sociedad, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He had the Sunderland debacle. He had the Man United debacle. He's now found his niche at West Ham. And you said it, Paddy. In 2-3 years' time, we spoke about this system, the 2 10s. Do we know is it going to work? Who knows? I'm willing to give it time. This year is going to be a year of very much experimentation. If we finish in the top half experimenting and then go out and open up the Wonga during the summer, well, then we can all be excited going into next season as well, just like we were excited going into this season.
Oh yeah. Well, look, it's. Don't get me wrong. I'm still excited about the project that's ahead. I just think there's a couple of decisions being made which I wouldn't make. Like what I said about Chambers, like what I said about the 210s. That's just my opinion. As a coach, if it's working, don't fix it. We weren't particularly bad against West Ham, but changing it for the sake of changing it. I don't think they've done Callum Chambers any favours either, dropping him against his old team, having played so well for a few games, which I was disappointed from his point of view. But it's, you mentioned there that John McGinn's getting a few call-outs there in the comments. I'd like to mention the best challenge of the game, and that was him putting Lacazette on his fucking arse, because that's where that fucking useless arsehole needs to be. The only thing that man is good for is getting in the referee's ear. He has a poor goal scoring record. He's not even a false nine. He's a false player. And I don't know how he's the Arsenal captain. Can you imagine how good they'd be with an actual striker? It would be unbelievable. He's absolutely terrible. But the referee let him boss the game. Your man at the weekend let him boss the game, and it was an absolute disgrace. So, despite the fact that, John McGinn didn't have a really good game, he put that fucker on his arse, and that made my day. And I'm going to move on for it now, and I'm going to say, those fickle fuckers didn't want Arteta. They panned him from day one, and now blowing smoke up his arse. Get a fucking life. Get behind your project, no matter what team you support. If your manager goes in there, get behind him. It does eventually come good if your manager's good. If it's not good, they'll fuck him out like the rest of them. So, there you go. Rant over for today.
And I'm the one on the beer. That's although that could be a vodka and coke. Yeah, but Arsenal, what would Arsenal be like if they had a striker? There's a guy at Barcelona. He seems to be tearing it up at the moment. What's his name? Pierre Obama, yeah, something like that. He looks like he's
Never
good
heard
anyway.
of him.
I think they should look at signing him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Paddy, line under Arsenal. Let's focus on something a bit more positive. I want to give a shout out to the Villa and Proud guys. Villa and Proud guys were recognized with a National Diversity Award. The club at Aston Villa, the whole ethos, what am I going to call it? The kind of community around Aston Villa is fantastic. Like, we do an awful lot of talking about football, obviously, because they're Aston Villa Football Club. But what, like, the other kind of offshoots of the club, like the Aston Villa Foundation, you've got Punjabi Villains, you've got Villa and Proud. These are so important to create a wholesome, I suppose, a family attitude towards a club. A club of inclusion, a club of diversity. They're talking about, I read a great article by James Rushton recently about maybe the development, of Villa Park. He had actually spoken to somebody who was a disabled user who goes to Villa Park, and he has to keep his season ticket, because if he ever doesn't keep his season ticket, there's, like, you talk about the backlogs for able-bodied people. The people who go there maybe in wheelchairs and have the disabled spots, they really can't let up their season ticket, because if they lose it, they'll never ever get it again. The lack of those spaces and stuff like that, and all the conversation and the consultation that the club has with those. But Villa and Proud to be we've had Villa and Proud on the podcast before, and I'll be a very, very big advocate of all that they do with driving inclusion within the club as well. It was great to see them honoured with a National Diversity Award. So I just wanted to bring that up, because you talk about your club and people can be proud. You can be proud of your club and what they do, but it's what they do in the community as well. And the offshoots that they have, as I say, is nothing short of fantastic. And Villa and Proud is just another one of those. So great to see it. Fantastic to have them involved with the club or associated with the club, and long may the club have a good history of inclusion, diversity, and and just making it a place where everybody can come and everybody can be happy and enjoy themselves at. So exactly. That's my little piece on Villa.
And look at, it's right to be proud of our club. Our club is a special club, and it includes everybody, as you say. And you mentioned the disabled fans that come and watch us week in, week out. There's going to be a whole lot more of them once that North Stand is built. There's going to be a huge amount of them included in that, which is absolutely fantastic. The club are constantly growing Lions clubs. There's nearly 100, I think there's 110 last count Lions clubs spread throughout the world. We're very, like, the newest one being in Brazil. Funnily enough, we've 2 Brazilian internationals in our team. And I know one of our regular listeners, Connor, is highly involved in that.
Yes.
So the club is worldwide. It's just about getting the right let's say
Results.
match on the pitch. And whatever that takes in the summer, I think we'll see us move to the next level. Maybe not into top 6 just yet, but we'll definitely take it up a notch next year. So it's all of these are all cogs of the wheel. It's all about bringing on new fans. It's all about getting the newer generation around Villa Park, supporting Aston Villa, getting new kids in that have never been there before. That's what makes our club special.
Couldn't agree more, Paddy. Couldn't agree more. And you know what? You mentioned about, well, we've spoken a bit about the summer, and it's been a while since we podcasted. It's been a while since we've done one, and obviously it would, we've got an international break, so we're going to need to fill time over the next couple of days or so on. But the whole transfer window is beginning to kind of ratchet itself into full swing again. Bits and pieces going on. We'll come to players that aren't actually in the club at the moment, but we'll talk about 2 players first. And the first one is an outgoing, and I wanted to mention him because he comes up quite an awful lot in our team sheet tantrums, Paddy, and a lot of people are asking what's he have to do to get a game. Morgan Sanson has been linked with a move back to Nantes and back to France, but to Nantes. He didn't play with Nantes previously, but he linked with a move back. A lot of fans talk about we need to bring in better players. We need better players in midfield. It's going to be a bit of a clear out. I would think that Morgan Sanson would still have high enough value in his home country, and is somebody that we could recoup at least some money back for, a decent wage back for. I think the question I'm trying to ask here, Paddy, is that is it a trick that we've missed with Morgan Sanson, or do we have any factual basis to say that he would have ever really taken the Premier League by the scruff of the neck, if we were to let him go, that is?
First of all, what happens in the summer, we've absolutely no control over. But what I would like to see over the next 9 games that we have left is the man given a chance. He's never really had a run in the team. I'd like to see him put in for 2 or 3 games just to see what he has to offer. He has been incredibly unlucky since he got here with injuries. He had no pre-season, came back, got injured again. I think he got COVID in there. I'm reluctant to say anything bad about him. Obviously, as I say many times on these podcasts, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what he's doing in training. But what I will say is, I don't believe that this management team have seen enough of Morgan Sanson playing in claret and blue to make a decision on whether we should keep him or not. And that's why I'm saying 2 or 3 games, put him in there, give McGinn a rest, give JJ a rest, whatever that is. The Kamba back in next week. I see someone asking in the comments there. Apparently he's back in full training and should be available for Wolves. Whether he comes back in or not is another story. It might be a case of throwing him in for 60 minutes. I believe. Don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I believe there's a friendly on next Wednesday for the players who are there. So I presume the Kamba is going to get a run out in that one. So we'll probably hear more about that during the week.
They did say, I know there was a tentative start of April date given, but it would be nice to see him back. It would be nice to see him step back in the field for a game or 2. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, well, look, we were talking about Sanson, and I kind of deviated a bit away from it, but that's my opinion on him. I would hate, this time next year to see him tearing up League A and us to go, yeah, we missed a trick there. He's a Champions League footballer. He's on the radar of the national team. He's played at a really good level. He just has not had any luck since he got here. But some people say you create your own luck. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know if he's been argumentative or disruptive or whatever is going on. But for some reason or another, he hasn't got a chance, and we've only got to trust the management that they've gone through all that process. But without letting him go cheaply, let's see what he has first.
Now, Paddy, you mentioned that we don't want to see him go back and tear up League One. He's a Champions League player. Lacazette tore up League One. He was a Champions League player as well. So
when he was younger. When he was younger.
Well, I'm just saying. But no, I know what you mean. Look, I'm still a big fan of Sanson. I am. I like, he's not a 6. I will stand over the fact that he cannot come in and play the Douglas Luiz role better than Douglas Luiz can, or any significantly better than Douglas Luiz can. I have nothing. I would love if he could. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely adore it if he could. I have nothing to base it on based on anything he's ever done in his career to say he can come into that position and be better than Douglas Luiz. I've nothing to base it. I've nothing to base it on that Douglas Luiz can come in and play better than Douglas Luiz in the position that he can play in the Premier League. But that's what I'm saying, that the conflation of, he played against Chelsea, I think it was, in the cup at the start of the season. He came off them with a hamstring injury, and he looked good. He looked good. He played in the midfield, but I just like longevity wise, in the whole lot of his career, defensive midfield has not been his bag. It really hasn't been. It's been number 8. It's been a wide right. It's been a central midfielder. You know, that's really where he's shone when he's played. I would love him to come in. I'd love him to get a chance. Give him a chance there. I'm okay to see him there, but he's not the great white hope at number 6. So when you mentioned the Kamba being back in training, that would be fantastic. It would be nice to see him get minutes. And look, hey, I'm even going to say it. Let's go full throttle. Give Tim some minutes back there, because the club see him as a 6. The club have more or less said, you are a 6. And let's see minutes. Give him minutes. Give him minutes. I want to see him. I'm gonna petition the club as of now. I'm going over to the Norwich game. I want to see Tim in the 6th position for when Dean Smith comes back to Villa Park.
Let's be fair. Tim got minutes. Tim got a chance. He did very well.
He got 5 minutes.
Well, he got 11, did he? Whatever it was, which turned into 16 when you add on the injury time. He did well. He did very well, and he signed a new contract on the back of it, and fair play to him, and I'm delighted for him, and he's one for the future, and I'm absolutely sure that he's in their thoughts. But I would like to see Sanson get his chance. Just give him 2 or 3 games. Let's see what he has to offer. If there's nothing there to offer, let him go to Nantes with our best wishes. But I do feel sorry for him. I think there's a smashing player in there. Everyone I've ever spoken to about him in talking about his past says that he's a smashing player. So it's just a pity. If you remember, I think AVB was did he actually quit in the end over the
Had he then tried to burn down the training ground when they sold him? In Marseille.
Yeah. So look,
they tried to burn down the bloody training ground when they sold him.
The guy obviously has something really special to offer. We just haven't seen it. And that's what's worrying me, is that we let this one slip through our fingers and it comes back to haunt us. We got him for a song. At 15 million, they were absolutely, as you said, trying to burn down the track. They were rioting in the streets trying to keep this guy, but the deal was done. As far as I know, I think AVB threatened to resign or did resign. I just can't remember what happened in the end.
It was tied to the Sanson thing. It was tied to a lot of things, but the Sanson thing was kind of like
final straw.
It was kind of like when Martin O'Neill left after Milner was sold, and he didn't want Stephen Ireland back in return, and he got Stephen Ireland. He goes, "No, lads, ties out the pram. I'm gone." Or they wouldn't reinvest the money. There's so many stories about that. I shouldn't even mention it, because we're 40 minutes into a podcast and we could be here till Wednesday if we started talking about Martin O'Neill. And
look, when we'll finish this bit on Sanson by saying I want to see him playing as an 8. I don't want to see him to put in there in place of Douglas Luiz. I want to see him play in his position, his position is probably a bit further wide, but if he's going to fit into our system, it can only be as an 8. So put him in there and let him see what he can do.
If we're going to go back to the 3 across the middle, where Ramsey patrols the left and McGinn patrols the right, Sanson, give McGinn time off. Like McGinn, we know what McGinn can do. If we do get to a situation where we've consolidated 9th or 10th in the league, I don't think we'll get there in the next 4 or 5 games, 6 games anyway. But let's just say for the last 2 games, you play him and you let him see what he can do out there. I think he could come in and definitely give you 85% of John McGinn. You know, out there. And look,
who's to say he won't give us 120% of John McGinn?
John McGinn.
You just don't know.
That's true.
You know,
that's
and
true, we don't know.
that's what's eating away at me, is that he just hasn't been having that opportunity to do it. And I think there's a player in there, and I think from what if you remember that game against Chelsea where he came off after 40 minutes or so, he was in the shake-up when the commentators were talking about man of the match that day. You know what I mean? So there's a player there. Let's see what he can do.
He was brilliant against Chelsea that day.
Yeah. So don't. I'm not writing him off just yet. I might be writing off the next player I'm going to mention about an incoming, but we'll get to that.
No, not yet. No. We've one more potential outgoing yet, and we'll be talk about that in the next couple of moments. But Carney, Paddy, talk to me about Carney. Look, it's such a back and forth. You know, some days he looks like he's not going to sign. Some days he looks like he's going to sign. Today, the murmurings out of Villa Park are that they're going to offer him a hefty package to try and keep him. They want to keep him. I'm going to say I very rarely come onto a podcast and play the pantomime villain. I don't like it. I like to be natural. I like to be authentic. And I was on the Villa View with Dan last week, and I did. Dan didn't even know I was going to do it. I just did it midstream because when we were chatting, I was actually trying to get under his skin a bit. But I started talking about Carney. Oh, what has he done? You know, does he deserve it and all this kind of stuff? And then he goes out and he pings 2 in against Ireland. And to be honest with you, he looked like a man amongst boys in that game. I watched that game. He was bloody excellent against Ireland for the under-19s. He was better than excellent. It was unfair. He was a cheat code in the game, to be honest with you. He was brilliant.
Well, the key thing, what you just said there, is it was against Ireland at under-19s. The guy thinks he's a senior member of the squad that can come in and play games. The issue I have is the murmurings. Where's the murmurings coming from? Yeah. I don't think they're coming from him. I think they're coming from an agent. I could be wrong, but it just smacks of it coming from an agent. Carney needs to come out and make a statement. You know,
I don't want to hear you making any statements. They usually make bollocks of it, to be honest with you, but I know what you mean.
The statement is, yeah, I'm moving on. I'm gonna find a fresh challenge where I'm gonna get more chances. I don't know how many chances you need at 18 years of age. If you're good enough, you're gonna be in there. Especially with a player like Steven Gerrard. He obviously admires him. He obviously likes him, but he's got to dethrone a Brazilian and Argentinian international to get into one of those positions. So, is there a lack of opportunity there for him? Maybe. Is there potential there for him? Absolutely. But go and sign your contract, because he is not going to get into a team in a better position than Aston Villa are right now. He is not going to be signing for an Arsenal, a West Ham, or anyone above that pay grade, let's say, in the Premier League. He's going to be snapped up by a championship team or a lower Premier League team, and then he's in a solid fight week in, week out. I think if he stays and works on his game with some of the best coaches in the game, one of the best midfielders ever to play the game, I think there's huge potential here for him. If he doesn't want this, bye Carney. Good luck. He goes with my blessing. I couldn't give a shite if that's the case.
Keep talking, Paddy. I'm trying to find out who his agent is. I was looking at it today as well.
But you know, it doesn't really matter. These murmurings are coming from somewhere.
I think it does. Because
you probably find he has the same agent as Jack Grealish.
I can't see who it is. Does he not have one? Does he not have one? I saw it today. I found out. No, it was. Anyway, doesn't really matter. If anybody knows who his agent is, let me know.
Yeah.
Right. My thoughts on Carney, my real thoughts on Carney are, I've said it before. He can be a bit slow. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Lots of players have not been like Bukayo Saka on the left wing and been able to run up and down. There's definitely a player in there. I'm going to say something about Carney now, and like if I was talking to Carney, I would say, Carney, Jacob Ramsey, 2 years ago when he was your age at 18, what was he getting off the bench for Aston Villa? What was he doing? Where were the stars in his eyes 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Nowhere. He was after coming back from loan with Doncaster. Last year, Jacob Ramsey, people were unsure about him. They were wondering why it was him coming on and not Carney coming on. Maybe that's why Carney feels like he's a bit, that he deserves the big contract. But now this year, look at Jacob Ramsey. How many goals he scored? 6 goals in the Premier League. How many minutes has he played? I don't know. He must have played 13, 1,400 minutes for Aston Villa in the Premier League this year. He's one of the first names in the team sheet. We've just spoken about dropping John McGinn before. We've spoken about dropping Jacob Ramsey. 20 years of age, came up through the academy. So if you feel that there's no pathway to the club, and you're looking at Jacob Ramsey, who I think if you were to talk to any coach in the club, they would probably say that Carney Chukwuemeka at 18 years of age has a higher skill set than Jacob Ramsey did at 18 years of age. But Jacob Ramsey had the work rate, and Jacob Ramsey got in there. And when Jacob Ramsey got in there, what did Jacob Ramsey do? He dug his feet in there, and he stayed.
Yeah.
So when you talk, oh, sorry, that was my elbow. That wasn't me banging the table in fury.
What wasn't your point? That's all I worried about.
I'm a good Irishman. I never. That's always in safety. But when you're talking about pathways to the team, so the thing that annoys everybody about this whole saga is the phrase pathway to the first team was mentioned, and it couldn't have been further than the truth. He said it, if I'm not mistaken, and I've nothing up here in front of me. Carney has 11 games played for Aston Villa this season. Yes, they have been the substitutes. He was brought on against Manchester City. He's been brought on in good games. He's been brought on in games where he should shine. He's played very well in some games. In other games, yes, he's come on and hasn't had time to show himself. Last year, he was pivotal in winning an FA Cup with the under-18s, and this year he's been like call it what you want. As an 18-year-old, he's been fast-tracked to the Premier League. He's not a Wayne Rooney. He's not a Raheem Sterling. He's not I'm trying to think of what he's not a Fabregas. He's not he's a brilliant player. He's the potential to be a brilliant player, and at his age, he's fantastic. These guys are actually the nuts, like those guys that were fast tracked to the team at that age, and that's fine too. Mm-hmm. So from my view, Carney Chukwuemeka can be whatever he wants to be in world football. He really can. I genuinely believe he can be whatever he wants to be. He's got both feet. He plays with his language style. He could be Paul Pogba. He could be. And let's face it, Paul Pogba has made a fantastic living, and a lot of people would name him in the world levels. I wouldn't. We're going to talk about him in a moment over a spurious link. But Carney Chukwuemeka for me is, if he stays with Aston Villa, I'd be absolutely over the moon. And I think we need to keep him. I think we need to keep him for the specific point of view of, because he was so good in that under-18s team last year, I want to keep a lot of those players. And I don't know if Carney starts maybe shoving out his elbows and the club let him go, are we going to lose some other players from that team? And I think that we've lost a lot of players from the youth team previously.
Do you not find it really disheartening to listen to that? Like at the moment, it's only attributed to somebody. Nobody has actually come out and said he thinks he's not getting enough game time. Like, he's 18 years of age. If he's causing that disruption at 18 years of age, I can't imagine that's something that Steven Gerrard is going to put up with. I think he's just going to go, well, Carney, if you don't think we've given you enough, fine. We'll let you go in the summer, and we'll recoup a few quid that we would lose on future transfers. He's over 18. It won't be a tribunal. It'll be a proper transfer fee. We probably have to give something back to whoever
it wouldn't, because it'd be a free transfer, so it would still be tribunal because he's been with club since before the age of 16. Well, no, but we get half nothing.
Yeah, but it's not a free transfer. He's another year left on his contract, hasn't he?
Not after this year.
No, I think he does. Yeah, I think he's free to talk to people, all right, but he's not. I think he has another year, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we should have a bit more. Anyway. I should have told you we were going to talk about Carney, and we could have been prepared for it, but it just popped into my mind.
Done a bit more research.
I saw someone put it into the chat there a moment ago, but I also saw someone put it into the chat a minute ago there about Russian Hepburn-Murphy. And I will not have
Oh,
the
dear.
Hepburn-Murphy slander. He's out in Cyprus and he scored 5 goals in 23 games for Paphos. And I think we'd all like to be out in Cyprus at this moment in time. But if I remember rightly, I think he scored something like 9 goals in a friendly in his first game he ever played for Paphos. And I thought we were after losing out on an absolute gem. But Paddy, do we have anything to give away? We don't. Fuck it.
No.
I thought if we had something to give away, it would have been a quick fire one where you couldn't use Google. But Paddy, I'll give you all my love and affection, Paddy. If you can tell me how many times Rushy and Hepburn-Murphy played for Aston Villa.
I'm going to say he played 6 games.
Higher. Have another guess.
Well, I can only remember him having one really good game, and we all got really excited, and then he did nothing again after that. And I actually came across him after games a couple of times, and he had this huge, big entourage around him. And I remember seeing it thinking, you're going nowhere, lad. You're going nowhere with all those hanger-ons hanging out of you. And I was proved correct. He's hanging on out there in Paphos, and he's probably found his level. And I bet you those hanger-ons aren't hanging around now.
Am I right in saying I think Ireland sounded him out previously?
So why wouldn't they with a name like Murphy?
Yeah. He played 13 times for Aston Villa Football Club, Patrick. That's how many times he played. 13 times.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah. He's also the youngest player to ever play for Aston Villa.
Still?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Does he have do his entourage update his Wikipedia page? But that's what I'm looking at. I can't think of anyone.
When I say entourage, he came out after a game twice. I thought with about 20 lads around him, 20 mates of his, and I just thought that's not how you need to knuckle down. You need to forget about all these people. You need to knuckle down. You need to make yourself a footballer. But it just never worked out for him.
Never worked out. Right. So
Gabby had a big entourage, and he carved out a decent enough career, but he worked very hard at the start.
Yeah. And luck is an awful lot to do with it as well, I think, with some of those positions. So yeah, so we're pro Carney staying anyway. That's the position in this podcast.
If he wants to.
Right now. If he wants to. Let's go on to some incomings. One word answer, Paddy. Do we announce Coutinho before? Do we announce that we've done the deal with Coutinho before the season ends?
Yes.
Good. So I wanted to hear. I think we do too. I think what will happen is
deal is done. What people are forgetting is the deal is done. There's an agreed fee.
Yeah,
but the deal is done in principle, I should say. Okay, so it eventually comes down to, is Philippe Coutinho happy enough to play at those wages, and is he happy enough to play with Aston Villa? And I can't answer about the wages, but I get the feeling he's happy enough to stick with Aston Villa and the project that Stephen Gerrard has on the table for him. So my answer is yes, we do it before the season ends, and yes, he will stay.
Okay, I agree. I would like him to stay. I just like him not to have as many days like he did at the weekend. That would be fantastic for me. But then again, Philippe Coutinho has played 10 games for Aston Villa Football Club. One of them he didn't start. His very first game against Manchester United came on, affected the game with a goal and an assist. Did he? Was it a goal and assist in his first game? He's played 9 games where he started, and of those 9 games, he's been substituted in 4, if not 5, of those games.
Possibly more, yeah.
Well, we're not seeing it. We're, like as I say, Philippe Coutinho has oodles more to give. But I think the weekend just shows that if we're going to just funnel the ball through Coutinho and hope that our team is going to win because he gets the ball, we will be very sad, and we will look back at him as being maybe not the player that we thought we were signing. So, maybe it comes down to. And those around him.
Maybe it comes down to what you said about Ings having a bit of a knock or whatever they said was wrong with him, that we didn't play 2 up top. But I think he flourished when we played 1 in behind the 2. I think there was a whole lot more space for them. The two strikers pulled players out of position. They couldn't stifle the midfield like they did against West Ham, like they did against Arsenal at the weekend. There was just no space for him. And I don't think you're getting the best out of Philip Coutinho if that's how it's going to be. So
100%.
two strikers every week for me. If it's Ings and Watkins, if it's going to be Archer and another, whatever they choose to do, whether they bring in, I don't know, Luis Suarez, whatever he wants to do, because whatever he does, I'll get behind him anyway. But there's been a few abject performances there, and I put that down to tactics at the weekend for sure. And I don't blame Philip Coutinho for having a bad game because there was just no space.
I agree indeed. Paddy, which one will I go to? Okay, we'll go with the lazy one first.
I hope you're giving me a one-word answer on this too.
Paul Pogba, Paddy. Apparently, we're going to rival Barcelona and Newcastle United for the free signing of Paul Pogba, Paddy. Should I wipe my arse with that newspaper or should I put it on the wall?
It didn't say we were going to rival them. They said we were monitoring the situation.
Yes,
now, what the fuck does that mean? It means we're reading the news like everybody else, because that's all that's happening with this transfer. There is absolutely no way on God's green earth that Paul Pogba is a Steven Gerrard type player. I reckon it would take 2 weeks for the two of them to come to blows. It's not happening. Forget about it. I don't even want to talk about
it. Good. Paul Pogba, done. I'm crossing off my list here as I go. Now, next one, Paddy. Apparently we're ready to go gung-ho, 2-footed, all the way in with a big wage packet for Kalvin Phillips. Now, should Leeds go down? Admittedly. Well, Paddy, it's come up in a lot of team sheet tantrums. It's come up in a lot of places that if we had just had a Kalvin Phillips, what would Aston Villa be like? I'm signed up. I know that stuff is harsh shit that we read, but I get giddy every time I read it because there ain't anybody, provided he's on the field, his injury record scares the living shit out of me, but provided that he's on the field, he's really good. He's better than Declan Rice when he's on the field at what he does.
The most important thing you said there was, should Leeds go down? Leeds aren't going down. Leeds are not going to go down. No, so, for me, I don't think it's going to happen. So, I would just leave it. I wouldn't even talk about it until, like, everybody's saying should Leeds go down. Where did that come from? You know, I don't think Leeds would be in a position to turn down a 60 million bid should we decide to go and do it, regardless of whether in the Premier League or in the Championship. I think that's a huge amount of money to go and rebuild a team. Is he worth it? In today's market, probably yes. If you're telling me we can buy him or Basuma for the same amount of money, I'm buying him all day long.
Oh, every day of the week I'm buying him.
Yeah. Now I am a little bit, you're correct to say it, I'm a little bit worried about the injury record. I would need to have a look at it a bit more and see where he's picking them up or whatever. But that would be the only thing that worries me about that signing. Other than that, he'd be a cracking signing.
Oh, I love him. I love him at Villa, and I'll tell you, and I know, look, the chances of it happening are the chances of me up in sticks and starting, I don't know, a successful tech company in Outer Mongolia. But a man can still dream. The way that when we were playing well, Douglas Luiz was dropping back in between the two centre halves when we were in defence and we were creating a trade back. Could you imagine Kalvin Phillips doing that with Konza or Chambers? Sorry, Paddy, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Konza or Chambers beside and Mings the other side of him. It's just like Kalvin Phillips when he played centre half for Leeds was really good. Kalvin Phillips when he played defensive midfielder for Leeds was really good. Kalvin Phillips was England's best player in the Euros just gone. Well, maybe Sterling. But Kalvin Phillips is the one that everybody said, 8 out of 10 every single game. He's just brilliant. He's just really, really, really good. And we missed the trick by not going to 32, 33, 34 million when we first came up into the Premier League and just going balls out to sign him. You know, we missed the trick. Now, he apparently Leeds accepted. He turned us down. I'm not one of these people that says, oh, he turned us down before, I'd never sign him again. That's cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you can get better,
Mhm.
get better. I just never think in a million years, Kalvin Phillips. If Kalvin Phillips has a decision to make and Aston Villa is on the table, along with a resurgent Barcelona who've just got like a bazillion euros off Spotify or whoever, and are mad to sign players this summer, I think Kalvin Phillips is playing somewhere else. But a boy can dream. A boy can dream. For sure. That's Kalvin Phillips done. Reluctantly done. And that's an X beside his name. He's not going to sign for Aston Villa. Last one I want to bring up, Paddy, is, geez, we're tipping over into an hour. Aaron Hickey. With the Scotland squad at the moment, I read a thing about him today that Villa are going to go 2-footed gung ho in to sign him in the summer. Kind of bringing a full circle here, Paddy. Bringing it full circle. Matt Target ain't going to be back with us. I think bridges are burned there, and I think he's even burned the water under the bridge somewhere along the line. The way that he gave that interview, didn't need to give that interview to TalkSport, but he did. Oh no, can you guys still see me? All right, my screen went off. Gave that interview to TalkSport. I thought I was after blacking out there for a while. But I think we're going to see another left back come in. We talked about Ashley Young. I don't think Ashley Young is going to be the left back of the future. I think we'd all agree at that at 37 years of age. Aaron Hickey was linked again for about the 15th million time. 12.5 million from Bologna. The Scottish international setup are really delighted with how he's going at the moment. I think that's a real goer. I actually nearly even think it's probably I nailed on for the summer. It just seems like it fits, Paddy, doesn't it?
Oh, of course it does, 100%. I hope he has more ambition than his incumbent, because he seems to have really, really muddied the waters, as you say. So, look, this guy has been a talent for many years. He's been admired all across Scotland. Gerrard would have come across him in his days at Rangers. His teams would have lined up against him. He seems to have his head screwed on. He's a really, really good player. And, you know, what's not to like about bringing in a young player like that and moulding him into one of ours?
I think it will work, because, as I mentioned, I didn't actually mention it, but I mentioned Lucadine is 8 years and 9 days, and I'm open to correction on that, but I think I'm right. In that. 8 years and 9 days younger than Ashley Young, and that means he's going to be 29 in the off season. Lucadine was signed to a 5-year contract, so that means Lucadine is going to be here till he's 33. Should we see out his contract? Now, I would say, given the smart way that or what I'm tending to see the way this club is going, because we're moving players on as well at the same time. We're not just letting players go. Well, we have had to let players go out and freeze because they were just bad players that we brought in previously. We've gotten money back from the likes of Samata. I like to think that the players that we brought in previously, we will still have sell-on value. It'll be interesting to see the likes of Sanson. Should we sell him? Will we have sell-on value for him? I don't think Lucas Dean plays out his full contract with us, much now as I love him. I think Lucas Dean will be gone. Right there. 132. He might be back playing with Paris Saint-Germain, might be back playing with Monaco, somebody like that, back to France. Or wherever. He can go wherever he wants. But I think that might be the case. The big question here is: are there enough minutes for Aaron Hickey between now and 2 years' time, when I potentially see that Aston Villa will cash in and get maybe get some value out of Lucadine when they do sell him? That's going to be the big question. You know.
Yeah, that's for the very reason I think Matt Target is probably secretly kicking himself a little bit, because he would have got more chances to get in. Lucadine is that kind of high octane fullback who, from time to time, gets himself caught out of position and has to work that little bit harder, and has picked up a few little niggly injuries. We are going to need adequate cover, and I think a clever young man could see an opportunity to come in there to fill in when needs be. He may only get 8 or 9 games a year. He may only come on as a sub, probably for a couple of them. But, Lucadine, very quick to get the 5 yellow cards too. There's a suspension. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways of looking at this. And if I like that, there's a position I played in. If I was looking at it as a youngster in that's how I would look at the possibility of getting into that. And plus, you say at 29, I think in 2 or 3 years' time, if we're offered a decent, sizable, not even what we paid for him, a decent chunk of change, I think Luca Dean will be out the door and Aaron Hickey will be in first choice. And that's the way a proper young lad should be looking at things. Have a little think about that, Mr. Chukwuemeka, and see what you say. But that's the way an agent should be talking to his player. Not saying how much money I can get you, or use the card that you're not going to get enough of a run in the team, blah blah blah. It should be look at the bigger picture. Where can Aston Villa take you to? And I think Aston Villa is a perfect fit for Aaron Hickey. And I thought that even without Luca Dean, I thought it was a perfect fit. I thought he would have come in and ousted Matt Targett within 6-12 months.
I thought we would have done something, and I don't know why we don't do this, and teams like City, Chelsea do it. How's when we go in and we put the wage down on the table now? We have money. It's not like money is a problem for us. Yes, I know financial fair play and all that, and I know there's probably some cap expert that's out there that's going to tell me this is why we can't do it. And that's fine. Please, I would love to have you on the podcast. Go away, put the wage down and say, yeah, staple on you for the next 18 months and come back to us then. Or 12 months. We don't have to have him sitting on the bench.
First and foremost, we can't talk legitimately to the club or the player until the season is over, till the transfer window is there. That goes on. I know it goes on.
I thought we do it in January when we were heftily linked with him.
What should have happened in January if Bologna wanted him to stay till the summer? We said, fine, keep him till the summer. We'll buy him. We'll loan him back to you for 6 months. You'll have him till the end of the season and we go. It didn't happen. We brought in Luca Dean and we thought we were going to have Matt Targett in reserve.
But the 12, 18 month loan thing that Chelsea do with their players, the 2-year loan that the continental, like specifically Italian teams do.
From the player's point of view, I don't think that's any progression. I think he needs to come in and learn from what's around him. I think he needs to come into a club that has a huge project ahead and be the backup left back in that project. He also played in midfield, don't forget, in the past. So, there's a lot of irons in the fire with him. So for me, it's not you loan him back in January when we had Matty Targett, but if we're signing him in July, it's to bring him in and be understudy to Luca Dean.
I don't know. I still nearly would loan him out for 12 months to be our insurance policy for Luca Dean. And look, don't forget we've got.
Yeah, and I don't think we're at the level of Chelsea to start doing that kind of stuff.
But I think at left back we potentially could be if we're going to have, because we're not going to bring him and I'm going to call him Ben Christine for this podcast. I've gone with Chrisene before another podcast. This podcast I'm going to go with Christine. We've got him too, lest we forget, who is highly rated, played with Exeter's first team, and I know it's Exeter's first team as opposed to Bologna's first team and all that jazz. But the club are going to need to find a solution for backup left back. I really hope it comes from in-house. If it doesn't come from in-house, Aaron Hickey is the man I want. I did a podcast on him. I think he's really, really good. But we'll see. I did a podcast on Tagliafico. I thought Tagliafico was really, really good. And Barcelona agreed with me because they look like they're going to sign him in the summer to play left back for Barcelona. Paddy, very, very quickly, we're an hour and 8 minutes. There's going to be a missing persons list put out on me there later on.
And I've two very important things I need to say before we finish too, so go on.
Well, I haven't done anything important to say since we started, Paddy. So I'm going to so what we'll do is Aston Villa internationals, hope they all come back safe. We're going to do a rundown through Leon Bailey, all that kind of jazz and all that. Leon Bailey, fair play to you, played really okay. For Jamaica, please come home not injured. Same with anybody else that's playing for their teams, specifically for Luca Dean. Do not get injured, for friends. Whatever you do, please. We're pivotal to this team. More pivotal than anybody knows. So please come back not injured. Paddy, what are your important things to say before we go?
Well, I suppose Villa and the West Midlands itself has lost a couple of important figures this week. The first one being Barrington Patterson, who a lot of people would know as One-Eye Baz, who ran with the Birmingham City Zulus back in the 90s. Why am I mentioning him? Because, well, he's good friends with a lot of Aston Villa fans out there. He's a reformed character, did an awful lot of work for charity. and very well respected man around Birmingham City itself and Coventry, where he worked later in life. And the second person is Andy Lochhead. And Andy died last Wednesday, age 81. A lot of the older people would know Andy Lochhead, and if you ever speak to them, you see their eyes light up when they talk about Andy Lochhead. He's just one of those characters. You know, he was a Alan McInally type character. He was a big, burly Scottish centre forward. Played 131 times for Aston Villa, scoring 34 goals. And he scored 19 goals in one season, the season that got us back into the old Division 2 back in 1972. So very affectionately known in the older generation, we call him. He was even before my time, Neil, which says a lot. But what a player, what a guy. More well known for playing with Burnley, but has a huge part of Aston Villa's history written on his tombstone. So rest in peace, Andy Lochhead. Fondly remembered by all the Villa contingent. And if you don't, go back and read about him, because it's an incredible story.
I think he might even be on my clock back there. I was just trying to see that wonderful clock that was given to me by John.
By John Steele,
by John Steele. I think he must be doing a clean out, and he went, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
It's David Gilles on the clock. So,
and Bosco Balaban.
Is Bosco Balaban? Oh, he is too.
He is.
Alpe is there too.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? That could be, Paddy. We nearly give away lads. We'll give away a season ticket if you can name everybody on that clock, because some of them are like very much up.
And the reason I mentioned Andy Lochhead, you see Aurelio Gomez there. Watched him at Villa Park a long time. We have a lot of people of that age group that would have seen him play. I got a few messages this week from people who thought I was much older and saw him play. I'm sorry to disappoint them, but I'm more than happy to say it on the podcast, because while he lived to be a right old age, he's going to be a loss. He's been in around Villa Park a lot over the last few years. Unfortunately, he passed last Wednesday. So rest in peace, Andy Lochhead.
Absolutely. That's going to do it, I think, Paddy, for the podcast. As I said, it's been a while since we were here. It's been, jeepers, it's been 10 days. 15th March was the last time we did. I think that could be a record since February of 2019. That could be a record for the amount of time that we haven't done a podcast. But I'll be honest with you, I just said to Paddy beforehand, I watched the Villa Arsenal game. I didn't watch a drop of soccer between now and then, or football, sorry. Between then and now. But actually, I did. I tell a lie, because I watched the Ireland under 19s and England under 19s. But sometimes that little bit of recalibration can be good. Can be good for the soul. And I certainly didn't check in an awful lot Aston Villa news. But the reason I did it was because so that I could come back and get giddy about the likes of Kalvin Phillips never coming to the club, and that kind of stuff is great. And I would recommend the international break sometimes can be a great time for people to do that, because it's given me great foresight in where I think the club is going to go in the future. I think it's given me great foresight in what I expect from the club over the last few games, and we're going to be gung-ho from here on in. There may be one or two other games we may not get to do team sheet tantrums for. I'll be honest with you, I've got invited to more weddings at short notice over the next bloody couple of months. No, sorry, if anybody's listening to it, I didn't mean bloody next couple of months, as in I don't want to go to your wedding. I certainly want to go to your wedding. Invite me to more weddings, in fact. But just put them on Fridays or Sundays. Game days the Villa aren't playing. That would be fantastic. But there may be one or two team sheet tantrums that I'm not going to say they're not going to be on, but I may not be around for them, but just because of reasons there. Unless you want to see me in the full 3-piece, that'd be fine. That'd be fine too. But we will try and bring this season to a close with you guys with the full schedule of podcasts. And also, if there's anybody out there that wants us to try and cover a topic or anything like that, please hit us up. Hit me up in the DMs. Just let us know what you want us to discuss. I've threatened for years on end almost at this stage. I don't even know will I do it. Will I just keep on saying I'm going to do the podcast on the deamortization of contracts? I don't know will I do it at this stage. It might just be one of these running jokes that we have in the
Just
podcast.
keep talking about it, yeah.
Yeah. I can try. I'll try and convince you all I did it, and you watch the podcast, and I never actually do it. But if there's anything out there that we can try and get our claws into, let us know about it. I have been beavering away in the background with a list of players, so be watching out for the summer. There's going to be a lot of transfer stuff. There's going to be a lot of me doing scouting on players. I just love it. Love watching players. I love trying to get to know them a small bit better. They may never sign for Aston Villa, but there'll be a nice 20 minutes, 15-minute podcast to keep everybody on their toes over the summer. But thanks for bearing with us over the last 10 days, guys, of no podcasts. Sometimes a recalibration is good, and I would recommend it for the soul to everybody. But really appreciate everything you do for the podcast as always, guys. Thanks so much. We're going to have a few days, I suppose, where we won't have anything coming up. I might actually drop one of those player profiles in the next few days just to see how they go down. But thanks so much, as I said to everybody. You've been legends, and all that's left to say. Oh, wait a minute, Del Boy. Wowzers, Del Boy, thank you so much. Christ above, Del, thank you a million. And I don't know if you made a mistake, Del Boy, I'm going to be honest with you. But if you did, I meet you in Villa Park, the points are on me. Thanks a million.
Cheers, Del Boy.
Oh, actually, just before we go, there was a guy there, Gaz.v. I just want to say a shout out. Thank you so much. Leeds fan just happened to tune in. We just happened to be talking about Kalvin Phillips on it. I was on the Just Joe podcast. I go on with a Leeds fan every so often. Just Joe is a really, really good guy. I give perspective of Aston Villa and non-Leeds stuff. And it's great to see cross-pollination of fans like that, because we don't hate any team. Yeah, we might say that Lacazette's a bollocks or whatever, and that's fine too. But at the end of the day, football's for everybody, and we want, and it's great to see other fans popping on and joining us here.
It's refreshing to have one come in and be cool and calm instead of just coming in with the abuse. So thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Del Boy, once again, thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you. Just great way to end the podcast. Just say thank you very much to everybody, and have a fantastic weekend. And hopefully the sun shines in your part of the country or the world. But that's going to do us for tonight, everyone. An hour and 16 minutes. It's been a while since we've done one of those. Thanks so much, everybody. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.